Hello! Today's dumpster-inspired recipes are cauliflower soup and apple crumble. When Frugal Daddy and I found all of that dumpster cauliflower, I mentioned I was going to make cauliflower soup, and a few people said, oh, show us how you make that. So I'm going to show you, even though it's really easy and there's nothing special to it because I'm not a fancy or skilled cook. And the apple crisp, I believe, was featured in my 7 days of How the Frugal Family Ate video. And some people said, oh, can you show us how you made that? And I'm going to make another because it was really, really good. And I have a ton of apples. So, for today's recipes, you'll need your 2 dumpster onions, your dumpster cauliflower, your dumpster cheese, dumpster apples, dumpster butter, and your dumpster oatmeal packets. I'm going to do the soup in the crock pot, and I put in 6 cups of water, and then use whatever bouillon cubes or powder that you want, be it chicken or beef or vegetarian or whatever broth you've already made. And then just put in your cauliflower. And I'm going to use an immersion blender to, blend it all up. So these can be in fairly large chunks. This is not going to be vegan because I'm putting in cheese, but I know there's just not a chance in hell my kids are going to eat this unless it's got cheese in it. They're just not going to. So I'm going to make it cheesy cauliflower soup. I'm using 3 heads of cauliflower, which is kind of a lot. And I might need more broth in there. Alright, so I'll let that start to cook, and then I'm going to chop up the onions and saute them to add later. So here I am cutting up my dumpster onions to saute in this skillet. And again, they don't have to be particularly small because they will also be blended up with the immersion blender. If I had carrots and celery, I might be dicing those up too to saute with the onions to add to the soup. But I don't have those in the house at the moment, so I'm not. So basically this soup is just the broth, the cauliflower, the onions, the cheese, all blended up. That's all it's going to be for me, though you could put cream in it if you want a creamy cauliflower soup. I think this is actually going to be pretty creamy once it's blended, but if you're not a vegan and you want some heavy cream in there or whatever. See how easy? And next we'll get going on the apple crisp, which I will bake in this little Pyrex dish. So basically I'm just going to peel the apples and slice them up and just put them right in that dish. So here are the apples all peeled and cut up in my Pyrex dish. I have about 10 apples here. Then the recipe says to pour about a 1/4 cup of orange juice over that, but I don't have orange juice, so I am using cran raspberry juice, which is what I used the last time I made it. And it was good. So just pour a little bit of that over, or orange juice. Then I'm going to sprinkle on a little bit of brown sugar. This is also dumpster brown sugar, by the way. Then sprinkle on some cinnamon. Then you take your dumpster butter, or margarine, or I don't know, maybe coconut oil. I've never done it with that, but... And just put on a few little dabs of butter here and there, not a lot. And you probably could skip this step if you don't want to put butter on. Then I'm going to make the crumbly topping. And last time I did it, I was running low on oats. And right now I have no oats because I used them up. So it occurred to me to use, these packets of instant oatmeal that we found in the dumpster, because I figured, well, it's oats, it's already going to have sugar and spices in it. This is maple brown sugar. This one is gingerbread flavored. And another maple brown sugar. I added regular flour the last time, just kind of breaking up what appears to be big chunks of brown sugar. Okay, so last time I added some regular flour. This time I thought I would jazz it up and add a little bit of this almond flour. Just sort of mix that all together, and then we're going to cut in some butter, or again, margarine or coconut oil or whatever it is you want to bake with. And I guess you could use a pastry cutter, but I'm just going to use my fingers. So just take your fingers and mix it all up until you get that nice crumbly texture. I can't really remember. I think you're supposed to add baking soda or baking powder to this, but I'm not really going to bother. So once you have your butter mixed in, you just sprinkle the topping over the apples. Then I'm going to sprinkle a little bit more cinnamon on top because I just am really crazy for cinnamon. Alright, the oven's preheated at 350. So I'm going to pop this sucker in, and when I bring it out, I'll let you know how long that was. And now back to the cauliflower soup. I'm going to put the onions in. I did add some more water to the pot. I think it's going to take a lot longer in the crock pot than it would if I just did it on the stove. But there was some reason I thought it was better to do it in the crock pot. Oh, I know why. I remember why now. Because while it cooks, I'm going to wander away and do other things in the house. And if I had it on the stove, I'd forget about it, and then it would burn because I'd be doing other things and have forgotten. So in the crock pot, it's not going to burn. Alrighty, so that's after 1 hour. The apple crisp looks finished. And it smells amazing. Now the topping is kind of powdery still, and that's because I really didn't add enough butter. But I didn't want you all to think I was super unhealthy by putting a ton of butter in. But if one worked more butter in, you'd have more kind of like little chunks in the topping. It would hold together a little bit more. But this still is going to taste fabulous. So luckily I know the girls like that. The cauliflower soup is going nowhere fast. So crock pot's a good idea if you are putting it together and then going to work for the day, and then you come home and just blend it all up and there it is. But if you want it to go a little faster and you're not going to wander away and forget about it and let it burn on the stove, then probably doing it on the stove top would make sense. I just stuck my finger in the water and it's not even that hot yet. Okay, 3 days later and the cauliflower is finally cooked and soft. So we take our immersion blender and we're going to blend it up. Okay, not literally 3 days, but it's taken a long time. So crock pot's a stupid idea. Don't do that unless you literally have all day. So I recommend doing it on the stove and not letting it burn. Anywho, here we go. Immersion blender. Okay, now I'm going to give it a taste before I add the cheese. Hot. I'm trying to think of what it tastes like. It tastes like cauliflower. You could use a little bit of salt and maybe just a wee pinch of garlic powder. I don't want to put too much salt in because cheese has a lot of sodium in it. And so, you know, it'll get salty with the cheese. A little bit of garlic powder. Blend her up again. Okay, another spoon. I got 2 spoons, clean spoons. Not double dipping here. pretty good. It's not quite as thick and creamy as I would like. And if I had those, you know, those things you use to make instant mashed potatoes, potato buds or whatever the powdered dehydrated potato is, I'd put some of that in because that would thicken it up. But I don't have any of that. I could cook a white potato and blend that in. Those are just ideas for you. I'm going to put this cheese in now. And this is really finely shredded cheese, so it's just going to melt right in. I don't really need to blend it any further. And it's pretty hot. Other things that might be good blended in there for the non-vegan audience, maybe some cream cheese, maybe some sour cream, maybe some creme fraiche for all you fancy people. And then, of course, all the vegans know if you want it to taste cheesy, you use your nutritional yeast, which I don't have any of in the house because I don't really actually like it, but that's what vegans do for cheesy. So there you go. That's the cauliflower soup. I never said it was going to be the most inventive recipe in the world. That's kind of how I do many soups. Just broth and then whatever the thing is, like broccoli or whatever, and just puree it up. I've made some good soups that way, and I've made some really bad soups that way. Why, I remember one time I made what I like to refer to as the black soup. And I remember bringing it to work for my lunch, and people said, "Oh, do you have black bean soup?" And I said, "Oh, I wish it was." I took some broth, and I cooked in that broth some kale and Swiss chard and spinach and purple cabbage. And then I just blended it all up in the broth. I was kind of trying to go for a sort of creamed spinach flavor, but that is not what I achieved. It was very healthy. It was black because the color of the purple cabbage mixing with all the greens just made it, you know, black soup. But it did not taste very good. No. But I ate it all because I will not waste food. I can eat almost anything in order not to waste food. But this is gonna be delicious and gobbled right up by the kids tonight. So as always, thanks for watching, and until we meet again. Bye.
Hi.
Hey Nevie, how do you like that soup?
Great.
You really like it?
Yeah.
Are you just saying that because you're on the video? You really like it?
Yeah.
Autumn, do you want to try some of the soup?
So good. I love it.
Wait, I'm not sure I heard that. Can you say that again?
I love it. It's so good, actually.
Triumph!